Well, it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like a sense of doom. Ukrainians are continuing their resistance. Ukrainians are hopeful and faithful that ultimately they will prevail. The question is, what will be the human toll of it? Russia has demonstrated that it's willing to, attack civilians, that it's sending air strikes and missiles on the residential areas in Kharkiv and also on the outskirts of Kyiv. Russia used artillery with cluster munitions yesterday in Kharkiv as well. So despite the fact that civilians are dying on a massive scale, Russia is clearly committing war crimes, violating the rules of war. Ukrainians are determined to, continue defending their country. I'm talking both about the armed forces and also about civilians who are mobilizing to, both show support to the army. They donate money, they donate blood, they provide and buy and send to the front line medical supplies that are that are not enough, that are running out. So there is a massive effort of resistance on behalf of the majority of Ukrainian population.
Now, seeing these Russian forces spread out on open roads for some 40 miles, clearly vulnerable to the air for a large degree. Would it be a game changer to receive additional fighter air warplanes from Western allies? What do you make of those reports? Is that something that's set to happen?
Well, of course, like every kind of support is very much appreciated. More fighter jets, more Bayraktars, drones, that could be used also to target those objects. They have been proved like very efficient already in this war. So any kind of support is essential. It's very unfortunate, though, that the West previously refused Ukraine's request to, provide air and missile defense systems to Ukraine, especially missile defense. Ukraine doesn't have missile defense at all. And unfortunately, Israel didn't agree to provide Ukraine when it was asked to do so several months ago. There is still, time to reverse those decisions. There is still time to step up the support to Ukraine, because it's unacceptable that Ukrainian civilians and children are dying under Russian missiles.
Now, just about a minute left. We'll stay with you when we come back from a break. But first of all, along those lines, at large, are the people of Ukraine feeling supported or abandoned by Western allies? It's hard to say.
Well, we feel supported, and we've seen, the demonstrations during the weekends all over the world, and we know that the world has already done a lot, like imposing sanctions on the Russian banking system and disconnecting Russia from SWIFT and other kinds of things. We are receiving military assistance. We appreciate that, but more needs to be done. It shouldn't stop at that. Russian energy sector should be sanctioned as well, because Russia cannot use the money it earns, in trading with the West to finance this war effort and to finance basically what looks like a genocide of Ukrainian people.
Prospects are for the next set of meetings. Any room for optimism there?
Well, it doesn't look like there is much room of optimism, because as the talks were underway, Russia was shelling with artillery using cluster munitions Kharkiv, the second largest Ukrainian city, just 40 kilometers from the Russian border. It's remarkable that Kharkiv, is the city that is massively like Russian-speaking city. So Russia is claiming to protect Russian-speaking population, but in fact it is killing Russian-speaking citizens. So not much hope for talks, because Russia is escalating just before the talks, during talks, and after the talks. It's good, that these talks happened, and the new round is expected in the next days. And we can also probably expect more escalation on the ground before that.
Now, another set of reports that other troops may be joining the fight on the ground. Belarus sending troops reportedly into Ukraine now from the north, joining that invasion. If you can comment on those reports. But on the flip side, are there reports of other foreign fighters coming to the aid of Ukraine, people coming in from around the world?
Yes, well, I haven't seen, confirmed reports that any of those foreign fighters are already in Ukraine, because it's also quite difficult at the moment to access Ukraine. There is, of course, no air traffic, so the access is only by land. Well, definitely we appreciate that support, and we're not surprised, because this is basically a war between, good and evil. Putin is behaving like Hitler in the 1930s. He's bent on exterminating the whole population just because, because we are Ukrainians and we do not want to be subjugated to Russia. So we, of course, appreciate the support that is coming, and everyone who will, come here to fight for for Ukraine. It's not only a fight for Ukraine, frankly. It's a fight for global, security, for global safety. It's a huge threat what Russia is doing now, because it's basically destroying the global order that was established after the end of the World War II. International institutions that were in place. Russia, as a member of the UN Security Council, as a president, it holds presidency now in the UN Security Council, is conducting an unjustified, unprovoked invasion of a neighboring country, and the UN and no one in the world seems capable of doing anything about that. Russia is holding basically all the world as a hostage, threatening to use nuclear weapons, and nobody can do anything about that. What is this if not a collapse of an international order and of international peace the way we knew it?
Olga Torariuk, thank you for being with us and for your stark analysis. Stay safe.